From MTN News, you're watching Montana This Morning.
2 men accused of kidnapping right here in Galvant County. I'm Annie Johnson, and I'll have the full story coming up.
They'll be celebrating St. Patrick's Day in Butte, to be sure. But officials still want people to stay safe and social distance. I'll tell you about it coming up.
Man, you at 6:30, you were watching Montana This Morning. Holly Brantley here with Chet Lehman, and I can't help but think that John Amy gets all the good St. Patrick's Day stories.
Well, St. Patrick's Day in Butte is just one of those amazing things. I know they're not having the parade, and I am sad about that. It will come back, but it's still St. Patrick's Day, and you cannot take that out of
Hopefully
Butte.
next year I will get to experience that.
And yeah, just the way things tend to go here in 2020, 2021, St. Patrick's Day in Butte is going to be beautiful tomorrow.
I love how we've combined it to 1 year now.
Well, it's
just one
blurry.
era
It's
of
all blurry
weirdness.
out there,
Wow.
that's it. It's all blurry in parts of southeast Montana
Yep.
right now as well. It's all blurry because it's currently snowing. Light snow falling in Miles City, out towards Glendive. Interstates in Wyoming are closed because of the snow. Winter weather advisory is going to linger until 9 o'clock tomorrow morning. Temperatures right now here, not too bad thanks to clouds. Upper 20s for the most part here in southwest Montana. It's not going to be as warm as it was yesterday, but boy, is that going to change in a hurry. Your detailed forecast, Holly, coming up from the patio in about 10 minutes.
Can't wait. Thank you, Chet.
Yep.
Well, now to your headlines. 1 man is dead and 1 man injured after an explosion in Butte late yesterday. Butte Silver Bow Sheriff Ed Lester says that a little after 4 p.m. a call came in that there was an explosion at a business on Wynn Avenue. 2 men had been working on an oil storage tank at Silver Bow Truck and Auto Center. 1 man was pronounced dead at the scene and a 2nd man taken away with serious injuries. The names of the men are not being released until family is notified. Investigators from Butte Fire, Police, and Butte Silver Bow Coroner's Office were all on the scene. The incident remains under investigation. 2 Galvant County men are facing charges after a report of an attempted kidnapping and attempted homicide. MTN's Annie Johnson reports from where investigators say the incident began.
It was in this area at the intersection of I-90 and Moffett Gulch Road where police say it all started.
These are very serious offenses, and the details are disturbing.
42-year-old Isaac Cardona of Belgrade and 24-year-old Jamie Sharon Jr. of Manhattan were taken into custody Saturday evening, hours after the alleged incident happened. Court documents say the victim told police she went to meet Sharon, but when she got there, Cardona popped out from the back seat where he'd been hiding. She told officers Cardona chased her around, swinging a machete at her, and when he caught her, he punched her in the face and the throat. She says she ran to Sharon's car to get away, but Cardona jumped in, and Sharon took off down I-90. The man who drove the victim to the meeting followed Sharon's car and relayed details to 911. Still a lot of missing information surrounding this incident, and police say they can't answer them yet because they're still investigating. And the suspects had some questions of their own in court.
At the moment, I'm not sure, Your Honor. This is all new to me. I didn't even know what I was being charged with.
Well, you do now. That's why I was asking you to understand.
I had a question about the bond. Can we do something with that?
Both men will appear again in court on April 2nd. Reporting in Galvant County, Annie Johnson, MTN News.
Now, Cardona is facing aggravated kidnapping, assault with a weapon, and tampering with a witness. Sharon is facing 1 count of aggravated kidnapping. Meantime, police in Butte are gearing up with extra patrols for St. Patrick's Day. That's tomorrow. MTN's John Amy reports on what they'll be watching for.
Even though St. Patrick's Day falls on a Wednesday this year and there's a pandemic, it's still Butte's favorite holiday, and police expect anything could happen.
We expect to see some fights, some disturbance type issues. We'll be out patrolling for DUIs as well.
Police will have extra foot patrols walking the streets of Uptown to make sure things don't get too out of hand. And while officers won't be enforcing mask mandates, they will encourage revelers to try to social distance as much as possible and avoid overcrowding bars.
We'll encourage people to go in the bar, get their drinks, come out on the sidewalk, and be outside as much as possible, because that's a much safer place than it is inside.
The sheriff said he understands people are going to want to cut loose this St. Patrick's Day, but he still warns people to try to stay safe so we can get back to normal sooner.
We are at a point right now where we can kind of see the goal line. We can have a normal summer if we don't do anything stupid before we get to the goal line. If we fumble the ball here and have some kind of a spike in infections, then we're going to set ourselves back.
The sheriff said officers will be there to assist any bars that want help removing customers if the bars get too overcrowded. In Butte, John Amy, MTN News.
In other headlines, the Greater Gallatin United Way and One Valley Community Foundation says the Bridger Foothills Fire Relief Fund has raised more than $405,000. According to a release from the joint organizations, the relief fund received 861 donations to support 105 people from 42 households. Both organizations took in financial donations and directed funds to organizations supporting families affected by the fire. Around $60,000 went to the Gallatin Watershed Council, where there are opportunities for the community to continue supporting households affected by the fire.
As the spring opens up, we think there might be more opportunities for involvement from the community, and we're really grateful to partner with the Gallatin Watershed Council, who's coordinating those efforts for remediation work in the canyon.
It was a really hard experience for a lot of people in our community. But we really saw the beauty of our community coming together, whether it was the first responders and the fire departments, to volunteers, to donors. And so our organizations were grateful for the opportunity to be trusted to steward these resources.
Gallatin United Way and One Valley Community Foundation are no longer actively fundraising for the Bridger Foothills Relief Fund. Both organizations say they remain about $10,000 and there remains about $10,000 in the fund for mental and emotional health support for adults and children affected by the fire. Well, 6:36 for you right now. There's been a lot of talk about vaccine passports. One country is implementing them on a much smaller scale. It's called a green passport and is used domestically in Israel. The country has the highest vaccination rate in the world. More than half of the population has received at least one dose of the COVID vaccine as a way to encourage more people to get vaccinated. Israel has started using green passports. People who have been fully vaccinated can get a certification. It allows them to enter crowded places like bars, hotels, gyms, and music venues. Public health experts support the idea of using a green passport in the U.S., but it could be a while before it is introduced.
We're not ready for it today because half our population is not eligible to be vaccinated. So I understand the discrimination issue. But if you think about it, 3 months from now, everybody in the United States will have the possibility of being vaccinated, and I think being vaccinated pretty easily.
Something to maybe look forward to. Meantime, in Israel, the passport is digital and is used 1 week after the second dose. It's valid for 6 months. After that, people must renew. People with this passport don't need to quarantine if they come into contact with an infected person or if they travel to a hot spot, but everyone in the country still has to wear masks and social distance. Experts in the U.S. say that although it could be a while until we get to use a green passport here, they'll help open up businesses that have been hit hard by the pandemic.
At that point, it does make sense for states to start thinking about, as they relax the restrictions on businesses, making it a requirement that people who want to go into a bar, which is definitely a super spreader type event, we don't want to keep bars closed forever.
Well, there is some criticism against green passports in Israel. Not all areas of the country have equal access to the vaccine, and critics say this is an invitation for discrimination. Pretty cool idea there. Well, it is 6:39 for you right now on your Tuesday. Still more to get to, including how far apart students have to sit in school classes may be changing. What the CDC is saying about that coming up. But first, here's a look at what CBS has in store coming up at 7.
Good morning to you. Ahead on CBS this morning, the Biden administration scrambles to find housing for thousands of unaccompanied minors who cross the southern border. See firsthand how the journey begins for them once they enter this country. And only on CBS this morning, Breonna Taylor's boyfriend, his name is Kenneth Walker, talks about his continuing trauma 1 year after her death. It's been tough. Plus, in our Eye on Earth series, how a rural school district is using solar panels to turn sunshine into higher salaries for the teachers. And first on CBS this morning, I like saying that, I'm going to say it again. First on CBS this morning, there she is, Tiffany Haddish, talks with us about winning her first ever Grammy. Her emotion was Awesome. We'll see you at 7 o'clock on the dot.